Welcome to this lecture, and this lecture will deal with the right to be forgotten and how that came into being. There was a Spanish lawyer that was also dealing with real estate and things like that, and he went broke somewhere along the line, and then afterwards he started his lawyer's office again, and when people were searching the internet on his name, then they always found that he went broke. So he didn't like that, and he asked Google Spain to remove the links. And that led ultimately to a case before the European Court, also known as the Google versus Costega case, or the Google Spain versus Costega, whatever. But that is what was the case, because then the European Court had to decide whether let's say this business of Google, which tries really to find everything which is available on the internet, that there should not be removed. So the link should not be removed. But the court said that in case the links or the search results appear to be inadequate or irrelevant or no longer relevant, then under those conditions, Google Spain needed to remove the search links. When we go into, let's say, the reasoning that the court has been using, then it's important to see how they did this, because they are constantly seeking, on the one hand, let's say, the individual interest of in this case, the lawyer, and on the other hand, the interest of Google, of the commercial enterprise who's offering the services, as well as the third party in this is namely let's say, society. And it is exactly this what has been done by the court, this searching for the balance between the nature of the information in question, the interest of the public, the role of the... So here you can see in what way the court has tried to really find a balance between all these different interests. Then something else happened. Only a few months ago, a doctor in the Netherlands, a surgeon, had a case under the medical laws that he didn't perform something well or whatever, and as a consequence he was put into a list. And then some service providers took this list as a blacklist, and as a consequence the doctor got constantly being asked whether he was still fined and for negligence and things like that. So he was not really able to perform his services anymore. So he went to Google and asked, please remove my links. At least not all of them, but the blacklist links. And that was allowed for by the Amsterdam court, and that just only recently happened. And what is important to understand here is how this European system of cases and things like that work. Namely, the European court makes a decision, and then it's given back, so to speak, to different courts in all of the member states of the European Union. They can then, for themselves, decide on the basis of the court what Luxembourg decided upon. As long as that is clear and everything is very explicitly done, then a case does not have to go back to Luxembourg. Then national lawyers, national courts will be able to deal with that. And that's exactly what here happened. So the court made this right to be forgotten, the court in Luxembourg, and then the Dutch court gave a decision on how to apply this right to be forgotten within the local environment of the Netherlands. It was highly publicized, and what is important here is that the interest of not indicating that every time someone enters the full name, that you can see that you are in the blacklist. So that was what the court took into account, and the balance that needed to be taken for the public's interest to know and the interest of the doctor. What is important here is also that the blacklist implied that it was like the doctor should not do his work anymore. But that was not the case. He was only convicted for a certain time for negligence, and he was still perfectly able and allowed to operate as a doctor. Now we go to a somewhat different way of cases, namely how we are protected against government, and then we go back to the European Convention on Human Rights, and we will do that with the class case.